Dang it. Okay. Hello. We're continuing with the Dark Knight trilogy. Going back and forth, of course. And we're now on The Dark Knight. Yes, I have some things to say about this movie. Well, I absolutely love the movie. Around, I don't see it as the greatest comic book movie ever made. I'm sorry. But I've seen all these top 10 lists where they put the Joker as the greatest comic book villain. They put The Dark Knight as the best comic book movie. And I'm like, I don't see it. It's an unpopular opinion. I'm probably going to get rammed down the throat with negative comments for this. But this is how I feel. It's my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, the only reason Heath Ledger, he does a great job in this film as the Joker. Would they even have considered him for the role or for an Oscar if he didn't die during production? I don't think so. In my opinion, I think that if Heath Ledger didn't die, he wouldn't have won an Oscar. Because think about it. How many comic book movies nowadays win Oscars? Almost none. But Heath Ledger passed away while making one, and they gave it to him. That's the only thing I can ever think of, because it's never happened again with the performance in a movie. Take Joaquin Phoenix. Everybody's praising his performance. I guarantee you, he's not going to win an Oscar. Hell, I don't think he's even going to get nominated for it. And if he is, I'll make a video saying I was wrong. Alright? But I don't think he's gonna get it. Apparently I didn't understand the movie. Every time I try to say something about the movie, I'm being called an attention whore. I'm just doing it to hate on movies. No, I generally didn't get it. Okay? I came to the movie theater to see a movie about comic book villain the Joker. Not a guy named Arthur Fleck who has a mental illness. Okay? They promised me Joker. They gave me a mental illness movie. That's what got me. Alright? I'm still going to do the re-review and look at it from a different perspective. But that's just to me. Don't market it as a Joker film. A film after a comic book character. It's not remotely that comic book character. You said it within that world, fine. But it's not the Joker. That's why people saying, oh, Joaquin Phoenix is the greatest Joker man. He's not the Joker. In my humble opinion, he's the inspiration for the real Joker. Alright? That's my opinion. And Heath Ledger, well, he is a great Joker and he's the real Joker. His performance is great. But I guarantee you, if he didn't die, he would never won that Academy Award. Alright? I'm just saying. Moving on from that, let's get to the actual review. Alright? So, the story is, a few years after the events of Batman Begins, maybe it might even be right after, I don't know. Because at the end of the first one, they give the calling card for the Joker. So who knows? He might be able to track him, trying to track him for 2 years. Who knows? Who really knows? But the Joker is now on a rampage, robbing banks, and overall causing trouble. Meanwhile, Harvey Dent, the new district attorney, has risen up in the ranks and is, trying to capture a bunch of criminals, trying to clean the city out. And Bruce believes that Harvey Dent is the true hero the city needs, not Batman. He uses this to try to get Rachel back. Which, okay. Nothing against Maggie Gyllenhaal. But this is a Batman movie. And the main plot revolves around a love triangle for a character that's not even from the comics. As far as I know. She might be. I don't know. I haven't read some of their newer stuff. But to me, her character helped out in the third one. She was a big part of the first one, She's a big part of Batman Begins. Here, it's like, oh, we have to keep her relevant. Even though the actress who played her in the first one, Katie Holmes, dropped out. That right there is like, okay, so we should just say Rachel moved to another city. Couldn't handle the Batman thing. But no, they just recast the role with Maggie Gyllenhaal, who in my opinion doesn't have that spark that Katie Holmes had. To me, Katie Holmes had that smile, that wit about her, and Maggie Gyllenhaal is just, she's wooden to me, at least to me. The only thing that gets me is when she's at the end, before she dies, and she's talking to Harvey over that speaker before the explosion. Right? And her death could have been a great catalyst. Alright? For something. And I'll get to the Two-Face plot in this too, because I don't think that's necessary either. See, everybody else is a great comic book movie, but there's flaws. Alright? Maggie Gyllenhaal, not the best choice. They should have just not recast the role and said that Rachel moved away. Because Harvey, she was the district attorney at the beginning of during the first one, right? She was working for, at least she was part of the district attorney's office or something. I swear, at the end, she said she was the district attorney. I don't know. And now Harvey Dent is. And Aaron Eckhart does a great job with Harvey Dent. Don't get me wrong. But they should have waited on Two-Face until the third film. I know they had their own plans with Bane and all that stuff. Fine. But they could have opened the third film with Two-Face. You know, too many cooks spoil the pot. So, the Joker should have been the sole villain of this. And the fact that Joker created this villain is great. And this movie was released after Heath Ledger's death. Heath Ledger died a few months before this was released, I think. And in my opinion, you know, they had the Joker survive. But in my opinion, they should have reshot with a stuntman a Joker death. Now, don't get me wrong. You know, they're sitting there with this footage, and like, you know what? We have Joker surviving. There's no way he can come back, and it makes no point. It makes no sense. You know, there's the third one, and he's not even mentioned at all. And he's a big part of why this city went to hell and why Batman is now hated. But he's not mentioned once, I don't think. Harvey Dent is, but the Joker's not. Think about this. Think about this, alright? While they're on the roof, on the roofus, Batman actually cuts the rope. Or Joker cuts the rope, starts to fall, Batman grabs him. Of course, he's got a glove on, but he grabs him, and the Joker smiles and says, I may die. One monster dies, another is born. The glove falls, dead. Alright, now I'm not a fan of killing off, doing one and done comic book characters, and obviously they were planning on bringing it back for the third one, but, you know, they could have had someone mimic the voice and just shot it from behind, and he falls, use a little bit of CGI. A lot of people don't like that, but they could use a little bit CGI for the face. It's 2008, but still. And he falls. And that line, like I said, one monster may die, but another is born. And the last scene could be, instead of, you know, the whole thing, because it's a long movie anyway, instead of having the whole thing with Dent, leave it be. and had the last scene with Gordon and Batman talking, and Batman saying, and Gordon asked him, did he say anything before he, he said, one monster may die, but another is born. What do you think he meant by that? I don't know yet. I'm going to figure it out. Then he gets on his bike and rides into the distance. He's not hated, he's not wanted, nothing. We ended on that, and we start the next film with Two-Face. Right? Because how would it be is if these criminals that he was going to put away, he is now weaponizing, right? And he set up this heist at the bank, even if it's just at the beginning. And let's say he's actually working for Bane, set that up. Be like, flip, boom, and it could be that way where you just, and yes, Dent gets killed during the fight because Batman has him down. And it's one of Bane's goons that kills Dent. Or maybe not. Maybe you just have him in prison throughout the film. And at the end, when there's the breakout and stuff, maybe Harvey's good side takes over a little bit. But you at least have him in the third film instead of shoving him into the end of this one. Where it's been the Joker's film primarily. And yes, Harvey Dent was a part of the good side of things. So leave him part of the good side of things. Don't turn him into Two-Face. Because that's one of the things that bothered me when I first went to see this. Is that Two-Face, one of my favorite villains. Not the Tommy Lee Jones version. But this version was okay. It was darker. The skin was more less cartoonish. But from the animated series point of view, one of my favorite two-parters of that series is Two-Face. And I've always wanted them to do that version where Harvey Dent had an alternate personality. That he was Big Bad Harv that was doing crimes and stuff like that. And then there was the good one trying to clean up the streets. There's, back and forth. A Big Bad Harv, a regular Harvey, all that stuff. I've always wanted them to put that to screen. And not completely plagiarize it, but kind of put that version in there. They tried with Batman Forever, where he's got two different sides to everything, but that was way too cartoonish for my liking. This version was a little more darker, but I've always wanted them to do... So if they have Two-Face and Matt Reeves' The Batman, which they're already having too many freaking villains in that anyway, but do a story. Even set him up, because it's supposed to be trilogy, right? Have it be Harvey Dent. And have this double life of his, Just kind of take it that way. I've always wanted to see that version on the big screen. We haven't got that yet. So when they have Harvey, who does have a questionable judgment, when he takes that guy, that's a questionable judgment. Oh, are they actually trying to do this? But no, they don't. And I think maybe they should have waited for the next one to have the, explosion where his face gets turned up. Fine. Now, how would they do that if Rachel wasn't in the film? I don't know. But the whole fact that this whole Two-Face thing is based on the fact that she died, she doesn't need to push a plot forward, in my opinion. She just needs... she wasn't... If they couldn't get Katie Holmes back, they shouldn't have had her in the film at all. Harvey Dent could have stood on his own without having to be introduced by her character. Alright? I understand they wanted to have this love triangle, but to me it's not necessary. Batman, while having love interests, has never depended on them to move forward his story. Now, yes, the 1980s Batman movies, he had Vicky Vale, right? And the next one, he had Catwoman. In the third one, there was Chase Meridian, and then there was Holly Madison or whatever her name was, Dolly Madison. I don't know what her name was, but she was a comic book character. But he had a different woman in each film, and that's the point. He didn't need to depend on one of them to keep moving those films forward. The fact that they brought Rachel over, even though her actress said no, they just wanted to keep that going, and the whole movie is basically the whole climax is kicked off because of her. Because she dies, Bruce gets angry, Batman, whatever, gets angry, goes after the Joker. He's angry. Because she dies, it pushes Harvey to become Two-Face. And that's great. But it's there's just better ways to go about it. Like, for instance, it could have been, this whole thing, Dent's trying to put these criminals behind bars. Joker doesn't like that, so he kidnaps him, and Batman has to come to save him. But because Batman doesn't get there in time, he gets scars all over his face. He resents Batman for that, and that fuels his revenge for the next film. That would work perfectly. You didn't need to put Rachel in it. Now, I know I've been saying a lot of negative things. I do like this movie. But this is why I prefer Batman Begins better. Because the story is fluid. While the Scarecrow is shoved in there, he's working for someone. And as soon as they mention Ra's al Ghul, you're like, oh, okay. So you get there's someone behind the scenes pulling strings. You know that. But here, it's the Joker throughout the entire film, and then by the climax, they shove Two-Face in there. And to me, it doesn't do the character justice. That's all I'm saying. I am going to give it an 8 out of 10. Same score as Batman Begins. I think I do think it's a very good movie. The cinematography is great. The score is great. The action scenes are great. Michael Caine on point. Heath Ledger does have a good performance. Still don't think it's worthy of Academy Award. That's just my opinion. Don't hate on me, please. And Christian Bale is a little bit better here than he is in the other one. I know he's just getting used to the role. So by now, he's, ready to go. And yeah, Gary Oldman, great. Not a big fan of how they, quote unquote, kill him off midway through the film, then just to reveal he's still alive. Because I called it. As soon as they showed that he gets shot, I'm like, he's not dead. I remember sitting there thinking, I'm like, he's not dead. Some guy goes, shut up. Like what? What? He's like, don't ruin it. Like, but it's obvious he's not dead. I was like, I know, but don't ruin it for other people. So even the other guy figured it out. He was like halfway down the line. He figured out that he wasn't dead. But shh. Don't spoil it for other people. I get it. Alright? But I just think that wasn't necessary to, kill him off and then reveal he's still alive. And I think his wife even slaps him across the face, too. Otherwise, guys, 8 out of 10. Good movie. All three of these are solid films. I just think that there's some problems with them that could have been knocked out had they not squeezed certain things into the films, like the Scarecrow, while necessary for the climax, I don't know. I think he was underutilized. And, the Scarecrow, Two-Face are two of my favorite villains. He's done greatly in the animated series. I'm going to keep praising that because the way they do the animated series is just phenomenal. I'm going to keep praising that, the way they do the characters, which is why people have been saying they want Clayface on the big screen. Yes and no. Yes, if he's done like he was in the animated series. No, if they're going to give him the movie treatment and just shove him in. Have Matt Hagen be a small part of the movie, and then because of some other villain, he gets infected and turns into Clayface, shows up in the climax, and then we never see the character again in any future movies. I don't want that. That's why you should stick to, well, Marvel has the multiple villain things nailed. You should still try to don't try to be Marvel, because DC has failed on that so many times. DC has failed on that. Not so much with Man of Steel. Or even Batman v Superman. Because, Doomsday's in there is not necessary. And you got I'm on cocaine Lex Luthor. They're not like, how can I explain it? Those are not the real problems with that movie. I'll just put it that way. Like I said, 8 out of 10. I gotta end this review because it's getting long. 8 out of 10 for The Dark Knight. Like, share, and subscribe. What are your thoughts on The Dark Knight? Do you think I'm an idiot? Probably. But let me know in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And love, peace, and chicken grease.